Have you ever met one of those people who just can't be stopped? It's like they're unstoppable.
Yeah, I have.
Me too.
What's their mystique?
Nothing stops these people.
Don't stop.
Welcome to Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso. You're about to meet some of the most amazing people.
Stop. Don't stop.
They've accomplished their goals despite insurmountable odds. They beat adversity, physical hardship, and traumatic events, and emerged triumphantly. They're people just like you and me, and they're winners. Are you unstoppable? Here's Frankie to show you how.
Hello there, and welcome to Mission Unstoppable Radio. I am your host, Frankie Picasso, and today I am so excited for you to meet today's Mission Unstoppable guide. She is a woman who really is unstoppable. LeTonya Moore is an American defense attorney, entrepreneur, talk show host, minister, speaker, and author. Her book, Live Like a Champion, Discovering Keys to Unlock Your Door to Destiny. Sounds like a winner. She's an advocate for equality, self-improvement, and social justice, and she is an advocate for change. And like so many of my unstoppable guests before her, LeTonya is no stranger to hardship, obstacles, or beating the odds. So let's meet this incredible woman and learn about her firsthand. Welcome, LeTonya, to the show.
Hi, thank you, Frankie.
So good to have you here. LeTonya, you recently wrote an article that was published in Woman of Rubies magazine, and it said there, or you wrote, that you came from an undereducated working class family and subsequently became a teenage mother. Now, can I ask you, do you think or do you believe that those two events are inevitable or go hand in hand?
Actually, Frankie, I don't. I think that for me, it certainly was preventable,
Mm-hmm.
as we all know. But no, I don't think it goes hand in hand. I think that being a teenage mother, for example, or a teenage parent really could happen to anyone. And I don't think it has anything necessarily to do with the lack of education as it does to the amount of acceptance, I would say, that tends to happen in some of the more undereducated communities.
So when you became pregnant, how old were you?
I was 17.
You're 17. So when you came home, did you tell your mom right away? And was it just, oh, okay, because that's what happens in our neighborhood? Or was she upset? Or your parents upset? Are your parents together? Were they together?
Yes, they were, and they still are. But
nice.
I absolutely did not tell my parents. As a matter of fact, I hid it, Frankie, for literally as long as I could. Like
wow.
It was like I have no idea what I was thinking would happen. But I actually told my older sister. I have an older sister, and I told her, and I asked her if she would tell my mother.
Okay.
And yeah, how lame is that? Like, now that I'm over 40, but yeah, I asked my sister if she would tell my mother, and she said, "Are you absolutely sure?"
Oh, yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, can you tell her?" And I was interning at a local radio station. I'm sorry, the local television station, and she called me at work, which never happens. And she
your
just
mom
said,
or your sister?
My mother.
Oh, okay.
My mother called me at work, and all she said was, "As soon as you get off work, you come straight home." But it was that tone, so I knew that she knew, and oh my God, I was horrified.
Is that who you were more afraid of, your mom than your dad?
Not really. I think, well, how do I answer that? I think it was, I was more concerned about what my father would think of me. But the fear factor, I guess I could say I was more afraid of my mom, but I can't even quite express it.
Did you think mom would protect you once she knew from dad, or once she accepted it? Or?
I think dad is it's probably more understanding, more of a protector in that regard. And so it was just sort of like, oh my God, like what is he gonna think? Like I felt like I knew that he would be more of the one to say, okay, I think we just have to make the best of what we have, versus my mother, who I knew would be absolutely furious.
Wow. And your older sibling, she protected you as long as she could, and she told your mom, don't shoot the messenger, right?
Right.
Yeah, not the best of jobs for her. And that's what really makes what comes next so extraordinary, because you were the first person in your family to graduate from a major college and obtain a doctorate. Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks.
How amazing is that, to be the younger sibling, to be pregnant, to have a child at 17, and go on to, become a lawyer? So how did that happen? Like, how did all of that happen?
Well, I think that was the part of the disappointment, Frankie. So even before I got pregnant, I was already looking at colleges. It was sort of already, I guess, ordained, or for lack of a better word, that this is what I would do. And so it's kind of like everyone was looking forward to that. And so you had this hiccup, but for me, it really made me a lot more determined. It made me kind of have this fictitious fight with being a statistic. And so it really forced me to say, okay, this has happened, but I have to accomplish this, not just for myself, but for everyone else who believed in me this entire time.
Did you have a special teacher, somebody who was looking out for you, somebody who championed you?
No, not in high school, but in college, I definitely have some professors that I even keep in touch with even to this day, but not in college. I mean, not in high school.
So who was your champion? Who said, LeTonya, girl, you're going to go to college and we're going to make that happen? Like, was there money for you to go to college? Did you have to get a scholarship? It had to be really hard.
It was basically my family. They just kind of had a off meeting. I wasn't invited, and they just decided they just decided that they would help me through this, and I could stay on track. I could go to college if while there I decided to continue and further my education and go to law school, that they would support me in that, and that's what they did.
And so your mom or somebody looked after your baby while you went to school?
Yes, my mother, my sister. I would say my father, but he was kind of just here.
And what about your sister? Did she want to go to college?
She eventually did go to college. She did. She got a master's degree, so now she's a HR manager for a major retail company.
That's awesome. What a great success that turned out to be. I mean, you've totally changed the way the rest of your family is going to probably look at education for forever. And how's your daughter today?
My sister made the decision that she's a U.S. Army veteran, so that's what she did right out of high school. So those were sort of the options: you go to college, you go straight to work, or you go to the military. So those were the options that were always placed before us. And my father's and even still to this day, a very big proponent of education. And so you were going to do something. So those were our choices.
Did they ever want to go back to school, your parents? Like, was there something that they had always wanted to be and just wasn't able to do that?
I think with my father, he definitely sees now. He always knew have known the value of education, and he refers to it a lot now. It just wasn't an option for him. My mother, on the other hand, my father is not a high school graduate. He had to stop going to school very early. Mm-hmm. That didn't stop him, but he definitely had to do that. My mother, on the other hand, she went to a technical college and received a certificate, but not a degree.
Okay. Now, you have always been very independent, and you can tell just by listening to LeTonya, I'm sure, that she's very strong. But this, I think, is like absolutely incredible because you, along with a college classmate, you decided to charter a chapter of the National Council of Negro Women. And so you actually founded the first non-Greek letter organization geared towards African women, American women on campus. Like, how extraordinary.
Wow, it was such an amazing experience because I had grown up reading about these different figureheads, Mary McLeod Bethune, Dr. Dorothy Height, and a host of other women that were connected with this organization. And so my friend, her name is Sharonda Berry Woods. I don't think she'll mind me saying her name.
She shouldn't.
We talked about it, and she said, well, what do you think about us doing this? And I said, well, what do we have to do? So we found out exactly what we had to do, and we had to bring together, I want to say it was between 20 and 25 young ladies who were willing to sign the charter. And we had some other requirements that we had to do, but we filled out all the paperwork. We had to to continuously go to the national chapter of this organization and say, we want to do this. And they gave us the charter. We met all the requirements. So I'm really proud of it because I understand that they're actually still functioning and flourishing even now.
Fantastic. Wow, that's awesome. Well, we got about a minute to break, but I want to know, since you did that, was there a National Council of Negro Men? Did they start their own fraternity?
No. It's actually it's a social organization, so
okay.
it's not a fraternity
Okay.
or a sorority, but no, there isn't a male counterpart to that organization.
Well, guys, the girls are still going, so maybe you want to get your butt in gear. Okay. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about an opulent life because that's something that LeTonya knows all about, and I'm very excited to talk to her about that. So don't go anywhere. We will be coming back in just a moment and more about LeTonya. And if you want to read some more about her during our commercial break, it's www.LeTonyaMoore.com. You can go there. And we'll be right back.
Don't stop.
That's right, don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Don't stop.
It's words you never heard.
Have you heard about Mel and Joy Schwanke, a Nebraska couple that have worn matching outfits for the last 35 years? Apparently, they have over 140 matching outfits, all custom-made, which typically match her dress with his tie. The couple is a match made in heaven. Neither one of them can remember the exact date they started this quirky tradition, but they both contend it's one of the elements that have held their marriage together an impressive 65 years. What do you call a marriage between well-matched people? Nomogamosis. Mr. and Mrs. Schwanke say that Velcro connects them because they do everything together. If you like doting on your wife with excessive fondness, you would be uxorious. And a woman who is excessively devoted to her husband is meritorious.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Having a tone-tight abdominal area, or better known as a six-pack, is highly desirable to many men and women. Unfortunately, you cannot spot reduce in that area of your body, or in any area for that matter. One exercise myth is that you can do a multitude of crunches to achieve that sculpted look for your abs. While doing crunches is a very good idea and an important element to any exercise routine, it will not give you a six-pack. The reason is that unless you lose weight and keep your body weight low, you will still have a layer of body fat on top of your muscles. Your ab muscles underneath that fat may be toned and sculpted, but the fat that's on top of them is preventing you from seeing that. Include fat-burning cardio exercise in your daily workout along with your crunches. I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
And we're back. My guest today is LeTonya Moore. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. And if you don't know, you're listening to Mission Unstoppable Radio. So, LeTonya, you named your first company Opulence. Established Opulence Enterprises, LLC, a media, brand, and event management company. What is the significance of Opulence to you? Like, what does that mean to you?
From a branding standpoint, when potential clients come to me or they hear about the company, I wanted them to know that this is something that is top notch. You know, it's something that's grand. It's something that will be a great representation of their event, or if they were doing something with branding. I just wanted it to be something that sounded like where they were trying to go.
Okay. Now I looked up in the dictionary. So opulence means wealth, riches, and affluence. And when you think of opulence, you think of yachts and people dripping in pearls and furs and champagne and all that kind of and all that kind of stuff. And this you established this Opulence digital TV channel with opportunities for independent filmmakers and writers and directors and producers, and a way to help them distribute these projects while still retaining, their ownership of these things. Why was that important to you?
Well, for me, I think it's very important to be authentic. I think it's very important to have a voice, and I think it's very important that whatever your messaging is, it's not something that is drowned out by other people. So being a creative myself, I know the importance of really being able to exhibit my creations in ways that are raw. And for independent filmmakers and even independent artists, period, everything is very much cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. In the mainstream, there are certain things that everyone believes works. And I don't know who these people are, but they just believe that certain things are the only things that work. And I think there are so many diverging viewpoints out there that it provides an opportunity for someone who may not have their voice heard to have a voice and have it distributed globally.
And you started this while you were still a defense attorney.
Yes.
Like you didn't have enough hours in your day.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. And did the idea just come to you like overnight, or did you talk to a friend and they said, oh, or did you say, you know what, I want to help these people? Did you have a client? Like, how did it come about?
Well, actually, Audrey Bell Kearney is the creator of HerTube Media Network, and she had actually come to me about a year before, and she came to me actually as a potential client. And at that time, the stage that she was, where she was with HerTube, I really couldn't help her. But she told me about it. She told me about what she was doing, and I said, okay, well, I can't help you. And I had actually referred her to some other folks, but Audrey and I reconnected, and she started telling me about the fullness of now that HerTube was developed, it was on its way, and what her vision was for it. And I had shared with her some things that my son and I started working on well before I even moved to the Atlanta area, before I even knew Audrey. And it just became an opportunity to be able to do this. And so what happened was that everything aligned, and she and I connected. And so that was the distribution source. But I'd always wanted to have an opportunity for people to showcase themselves, the things that they're doing, empower others. And prior to that, I used to do conferences. And so, again, it was just that same premise that we take from the conferences and put them on the television.
So tell us about being a lawyer. Can you tell us about any like extraordinary cases that you had or anything like that?
Oh, gosh.
The experience of being a defense attorney. What was that like?
It was rewarding at times, not so rewarding at other times. And I say that because, as you know, Frankie, my defense work, I was a defense attorney for the U.S. government for about 12 years. And, there are certainly other factors that play into your ability to really handle and manage your cases. When you are in that type of position, you know, your constituents are the American citizens, in addition to your upline in the agencies, and quite frankly, depending on which political party and ideological bureaucrat is in office. So there are a lot of different factors that play into that. Specifically, what I did, the bulk of my career was spent on labor and employment law. So I had a lot of sexual harassment, discrimination cases. I had Equal Pay Act cases, labor. I did labor union work, wrongful terminations, all of those things. And so there are a number of cases that I probably could talk about a little bit, but one that stuck out, I think, the most for me is I had a sexual harassment case dealing with a young woman who was a professional, and she was harassed by a person that was like a VP level equivalent. Mm-hmm. And once I got the case, I was horrified because, remember, I'm the defense. Right.
Yeah. You're defending. And you're defending her company or her? This person, the alleged aggressor, worked for the agency. Okay. So technically, I guess he technically wasn't my client, but our case was surrounded by his behavior. Right. And it was really a difficult case for me because my previous, I know what this woman had gone through because I had some previous experience being the target of some things. So I could clearly see what had happened to her, but more egregiously, her career was pretty much there's her lawyer talk there before she could get started. Mm-hmm. Well, it's horrible that you have to, I mean, that has to be the hardest thing for a defense attorney, is to defend people who you know are wrong. Like, they're just wrong, you know? And here you have to defend somebody against somebody who's, you know, had something horrible happen to her, and yet defend the person who did it. Absolutely. Gotta be tough. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially because you're all for justice, right? I would say the great thing about this situation is that the decision makers understood the gravity of the situation. Mm-hmm. They understood what we needed to do to make the situation right. And so we were able to repair some things that had been broken. We were able to help this person along. And my understanding is that afterwards she was able to flourish. So that was rewarding in the sense that we were able to do the best that we could do for her, mm-hmm. Even though she was not our client. Right. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. You know, it's a tough call, and it's, you know, especially when you're for justice like you are, and you want to right the wrongs of the world. Being a defense attorney is not the easiest of positions to be in. Absolutely. Not the easiest. And so, you know, but you were flourishing and you were making good money and every life was, you know, pretty good. And then you decided to jump ship. And you decided that, I think did you find God at the time? And something said, okay, I'm going to do something different now. Tell us about that experience. What happened to you? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that I found God, because God has always been a very important part of my life, even growing up. Mm-hmm. But what it literally was just, there was something missing. There was literally something missing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I had a degree of success. Definitely had a rewarding, successful career, but it wasn't fulfilling anymore. And I felt like, okay, something is missing. There are some other things that I really should
be doing. And my desire was to really help others succeed. And I just didn't feel like being in that particular position at the time really was something that was meeting that need. And so after that is when I started to really focus a lot more on media and utilizing my platforms and utilizing my voice as a way of giving a voice to other people.
Okay. So when did you become a minister? Oh, you know what? I think we're going to be going to a break. Are we going to break, Ben? Sorry. Because I don't want to get into that whole thing quite yet. 2 minutes? Okay. We can talk about it for a minute then. When did you think to become a minister? Was it at that time or?
Oh my God, no, it wasn't. it wasn't at that time. I didn't even want to do it. But I'll share just quickly because I know we're going to
come back to that. We're going to come back
on time. But
well, if that's not the time, LeTonya, I'm going to stop you because if that's not the time, we're going to go. I want to go out to break, talking about the time then when you decided to give up being a lawyer and give up the dedicated paycheck and start to help people and be a champion of the people. You hit rock bottom, didn't you? There was a time when you actually hit rock bottom and became homeless.
Absolutely. Yes.
And we're going to talk about that when we come back from our break, because I'm sure people want to know how that could have happened to somebody who was so successful. And, it can happen to any of us. But the good news is that you knew how to get back on top, and we're going to show people how that happened and just how unstoppable you truly are. And I also want to talk to them about the champion life journey, and I think all of that's kind of woven in, I think, but we're gonna talk to LeTonya about that and so much more. Do not go anywhere. Is there anything you want to make sure we talk about?
Frankie, I think you've covered everything.
Well, not yet. We still have a lot more to talk about. But they're gonna find out. We're gonna talk about She Matters and the Ambassador Program. There's a whole bunch more to talk to LeTonya about. So don't go away. To have a bio break, you can go do that, but make sure you come back. It's Mission Unstoppable Radio. LeTonya Moore is my guest, and she rocks, doesn't she?
Stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Stop.
It's words you never heard.
Did you hear about the Gaberlunzie bear caught rummaging through a refrigerator in an apartment in Colorado? The tenant heard noises coming from the kitchen and saw a bear with his head in the fridge, looking for anything it could eat. What's a word for food that's unfit for human consumption? Ma wallop. The tenant locked himself in his bedroom and called for help. What's a word for the fear of bears? Ursophobia. We have lots of bears near our Colorado cabin, and we have been told that pepper spray will keep them away. But the idea that it would keep a 500-pound grizzly bear from attacking seems ridiculous to me. I think I'll try the pepper spray on myself and hope the bear doesn't like spicy foods.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
According to Weight Watchers, researchers have found a connection between couples and weight. Not only do women and men who are married and live together tend to gain weight at similar times, they are also more likely to achieve better results if they tackle weight loss as a couple. Why is that? First, married people tend to eat together, and they may be eating more when dining together than if eating alone. Secondly, the newly married person may have less motivation to stay thin. In a single world, they want to maximize their attractiveness, and that includes a healthy body weight. Couples working to lose weight and keep the weight off encourage each other's progress and help each other through the challenges that come with losing weight. That improves the odds of weight loss success and better health. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
And we're back. back, and you're listening to Mission Unstoppable Radio. I am your host, Frankie Picasso, and my guest today is LeTonya Moore. And when we left you, LeTonya had hit rock bottom. She had left lawyering. She decided to pursue her passion, her calling in life, and it just so happened that life happened as it normally does, and she ended up losing mostly everything, and she found herself homeless. So LeTonya, take us to that place, what it was like being homeless. Did you ever expect to be homeless in your life?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's not LeTonya we know.
Oh God,
okay.
No. I never expected that. But it was a surreal experience, Frankie, for lack of a better word, because as you know, when you work and you build and you acquire a certain lifestyle and you acquire certain things, to literally see those things leave almost like a poof is devastating.
So what were you thinking? What were you thinking? My God, I must have made a huge mistake, but I kind of said I was going to do this. So you must have been pulled in many directions.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I was pulled in a lot of different directions. I didn't really know. I really, honestly, I second guessed, I third guessed, I fourth guessed myself in the sense of saying, now, did I miss something? Was the timing not right? I started to go back over everything again as things were falling apart. It was just a surreal experience because again, I mean, I've never been homeless. I never experienced not knowing literally where am I going to live ever in my life. And I could have said, I'm going to go home to my parents because I know that I could. And that door is always open.
Did they have
no
your
matter
son?
What.
Or did you have your son?
He actually was in college during the time.
Oh, okay.
So that all worked out, thank God. So that wasn't, that was not a concern. And so, wow, what was I thinking? I don't know.
Did your folks know that you were
idea
homeless? Did anybody know that you were homeless? Did you share?
I did share. I shared with a few people. I shared. My family really didn't believe me.
Oh, okay.
I think that they were like, what? Not you. Like this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen to you.
This isn't our LeTonya. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, but what that did for me, it just sent me to this really dark, this really dark place. And I was staying with a friend, and I had been there, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks at this time. And she said, you have to come out of this room. You can't, I know it's hard. I know things have fallen apart. However, you're not falling apart. And so you have to pick yourself up and do it. You stepped out. Now you have to do it. And she was really instrumental in helping me through this process of getting back to me, really. The great thing about what internally was happening is that I was growing strength, because you really find out how strong you are when you don't have anything.
Yeah.
That's when you know how strong you are. That's when you know what you can really do, when all you have is whatever gumption that you can put together.
So tell us about the like those feelings. I mean, like, you're a confident, independent, strong, hardworking woman, and now you're sitting in a room that you didn't want to come out of. And was your confidence shaken? Like, what were you feeling?
It was destroyed. My confidence was destroyed. My self-worth had diminished almost to nothing. I wouldn't say that it was completely destroyed, because it wasn't.
Right.
I was dealing with a lot of embarrassment, but more so shame, I think, than anything else, because when I had talked with people about, I think I'm just going to strike out on my own. I'm really not happy, at the job. Everyone I talked to was like, "Are you nuts?" They were like, "Are you nuts? You're making 6 figures. You have health insurance. You have a 401k. You have, all of these things that the average person would probably covet if you don't have it." So to now be there in that place I felt ashamed. To be quite honest with you, I felt
Let's
ashamed.
talk about that shame for a second, because there's somebody listening right now who feels ashamed. They feel shame for something. And really, what's to feel ashamed about? You could always go back and be a lawyer. You have tools in your toolbox. You have knowledge. You know how to learn. You know how to work. Even if you went to work in a restaurant, you know how to, you're not, it's not below you, right? So,
absolutely.
So if they didn't have that friend who said, "You know what, you're not broken, the system's broken," or whatever, but what would you tell somebody sitting there in that dark room that didn't have a friend to pull them out? You be their friend right now.
Wow. What I would say to that person, Frankie, is as long as you have breath, you can make it. You can make it. It took a lot of courage to take that leap of faith. And so think about that time right before the bottom fell out. Think about those times of get back to that impetus that pushed you to the point of saying, this is something that I am going to try. And regardless of how it turns out in the end, I'm willing to see it all the way through. Because you have to go into that place of digging deep. Even if you don't have a friend or you do have a friend, it still takes you to say, I'm going to make this change. I'm no longer going to sit here and sulk and have this depression. But I really believe that there's always something inside of you that can drive you. You just have to tap into that inner voice.
You're not the first person that I've met who decided to help people, and then something really bad happened. And do you ever contemplate on why the bad happened? Did you ever think that the bad happened because now you really are able to help people more authentically on their level, because you feel what they're going through now? It's not just esoteric. It's not, you've been there and it's real. When you talk to them, they know that it's real.
Yes. I believe that, if you think about it, Frankie, all of the successful self-help, quote unquote, programs are built on that very premise. When you look at Alcoholics Anonymous, well, your sponsor is not some counselor or some PhD who hasn't been an alcoholic. Your sponsor is someone that's been there, done that. So they've walked in those shoes. And so when you look at these success stories or these successful programs, that's exactly what it is. And even on the spiritual side, I think that there's something to be said for a person that's able to relate because they've been there. And so they can speak. I feel that I can speak directly to someone that's in that place right now because I've been there. I can say, listen, I know that you're feeling shame. You're feeling disappointed. You're feeling like you're not a success. You're feeling like a failure. I can say that because I was there. But the great thing is I can now say, but this is how I got to where I am now. And that's going to be the thing that's going to pull those folks out.
That's awesome. So let's talk about Champion Life. Let's talk about this thing that you created called the Champion brand. What is it all about?
So the great thing about the Champion brand, so when I was little, my sister and I would watch wrestling and we would watch boxing with our dad. Like that was his big thing. And so my whole family is into wrestling and boxing. But,
I used to work in boxing. I put on boxing matches. Yeah.
So we would watch all the greats, but the way that Champion Life came about it's really a mixture between the principles of boxing and the principles of life. So it's really about perseverance. It's about being adaptable. It's about overcoming and beating the odds in a very authentic way. If you think about it, boxing is one of the very few sports where your entire mind, body, and spirit has to be engaged, because you have a natural fight or flight reflex, I guess, for lack of a better word. And then you also have this level of aggression, this desire to win, this desire to move forward. But in order to move forward, you have to take some pretty hard hits. I mean, you have to really endure. And so those are all the same principles built into this champion brand. And so what we promote with the champion brand is really about doing everything that you can, because you're it. There's no team. There's no quarterback throwing you the ball. There's no passer, setting you up for the spike. It's just you and your opponent. And that's how life is. It's just you and life.
That's right. So you've got the boxing analogy. You're in the ring, the spotlight's on you, it's you against life, and it's either you're going to put your hands up and cover and you're going to throw a left hook and a right, or you're just going to go down.
Absolutely. Because if you think about it, life is a series of choices. It's a series of risks and calculations and all of those things. But whatever you're up against, the first thing that you have to do is study it. You have to know, what is this thing? Just like you have to study your opponent. I don't know any boxer that goes into the ring never having watched a videotape of the opponent.
Right.
Never having studied the opponent's weak points, but also their strengths. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? How long do they last? How long can they endure? And then what can I do? How can I maneuver my plan to accommodate, but also to overtake that challenge, for lack of a better word? And so that's what the champion brand is about. It's really about looking at yourself in an individualistic manner and making those calculated decisions on how to succeed.
I like it. Well, we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to find out a little bit more Alex is on the line from Nigeria. Awesome. Well, we're going to a commercial break, but bring her into our off commercial and we'll talk to her and then we'll put her on air.
Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Stop.
It's Marching Never Heard.
Did you hear about the Gaberlunzie bear caught rummaging through a refrigerator in an apartment in Colorado? The tenant heard noises coming from the kitchen and saw a bear with his head in the fridge, looking for anything it could eat. What's a word for food that's unfit for human consumption? Ma wallop. The tenant locked himself in his bedroom and called for help. What's a word for the fear of bears? Ursophobia. We have lots of bears near our Colorado cabin, and we have been told that pepper spray will keep them away. But the idea that it would keep a 500-pound grizzly bear from attacking seems ridiculous to me. I think I'll try the pepper spray on myself and hope the bear doesn't like spicy foods.
It's Marching Never Heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Do you need to improve your short-term and long-term memory? Most of us would answer yes to that. And the good news is that by eating a handful of nuts, you can accomplish that. Nuts of all kinds are full of magnesium, and researchers at MIT found that magnesium seems to promote new connections between brain cells. Nuts, especially cashews and almonds, boast about 25% of your daily requirement of magnesium. Nuts are also a hearty snack and stick with you when you eat them. Be aware though, if you're watching your weight, nuts are high in calories. I love nuts, and for a snack I put a few almonds in a baggie, along with some raisins, and it's a great snack to take with me on the run. The chewy and crunchy element is good also. So improve your brain power and consume a small amount of nuts several times per week. I'm Annette Hammond.
Okay, and we're back. It's Mission Unstoppable Radio. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. My guest today is LeTonya Moore, and we have a special caller, Alex Akorji from Nigeria. Now, just before we bring Alex on, I want to talk about the She Matters and the Ambassador Program, because Alex actually is one of the ambassadors for She Matters. So it's wonderful to have you here, Alex. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Frankie. And, it's great just to be on your show and, of course, to be here with supporting LeTonya Moore. So, yay, we're supporting her all the way from Nigeria.
I love it. In the heart of Africa. Okay, so LeTonya, tell us about the She Matters.
Okay, so She Matters started out, it's really a funny story. So it didn't even start out as being She Matters. It started out as I wanted to create a community of women where they could just authentically share their perspectives on business, politics, I don't know, career, just anything that women wanted to talk about and share. We were creating this community that would foster a safe environment for them to do that in a non-judgmental way. So when I first put it out, it was called Her Perspectives. Mm-hmm. And I used the hashtag She Matters. And a couple of times when I was putting it out, and people just started saying, well, tell me more about She Matters. And I had no idea what they were talking about because that wasn't the original name. But She Matters started to just, oh my gosh, it was almost like a fungus. It just started to just literally just grow.
You have to have a better
on its own. It was like mold. It's everywhere.
How about ivy? Ivy is more.
I was like, it's this big female fungus. But what happened? The premise is still the same, and so it's a global community of a cross-gender global community of people who are dedicated to improving the lives, improving the imagery, and really just, again, in education, improving the quality of life of women and girls on a global level. And those of us that live in what's considered to be first world countries, I think we take a lot of things for granted. Mm-hmm. We take the fact that we can just go down the street to a school. We take for granted. We take for granted that there are certain protections, although they may not always help, but there are certain protections that we have in a certain amount of control that we have over our bodies and what happens with our bodies as women that in other places they just don't have those same opportunities. And so the vision for She Matters is to pull together a cohesive community that works together, that supports each other, that helps each other in their businesses and in their career. If there's a political support that's needed in terms of raising awareness, for example, for a specific issue, the vision is that She Matters will be a place that people can come to get support and get information.
So would you actually lobby in different countries for these women? Is that something that She Matters would do, or is that too far?
It's certainly something that's in the long-term plan. Mm-hmm. I would love to be a part of a support system that does that if the opportunity presents itself. But I think at this juncture right now, I don't think that we are mobilized enough to really be able to effectuate change.
What is your role, Alex, as an ambassador? What do you see yourself doing?
Basically, pretty much what LeTonya said. I mean, you are, as an ambassador, the first thing, you are a force. Should I say a force? Not a face, not just a face, but I mean, I want to think of it more as a force. as a medium, basically, to get the objectives or She Matters out there. And that is to be able to use your platforms and to be able to use your influence to be able to sort of rally support and empower more girls and women around the world. And so that's what I've, basically tried to do on my own, but it's also great to be able to be part of a community that shares the same beliefs and the same objectives and goals. And so for me, my responsibility is to be able to use everything at my disposal, whether it is my radio show or my book, or even just be able to put, get people together to be able to achieve, similar goals that ultimately can, empower more women and girls around the world. Maybe even using media stuff from books and, just quite a bit. It's unlimited what we can do, really. Mm-hmm. And even though right now, LeTonya may not feel like we're mobilized enough, I think that in the near future we will be mobilized enough to be able to effect some of the changes and some of the things that I know that she, in her heart, wants to achieve globally for women and girls. So,
if you don't know Alex Okorji, she is an author, radio host of The Naked Expression. She's a queen of expression, and she's also a famous Nollywood actress. I want to congratulate both of you. And I think that this is really significant and shows just how far, She Matters in a way has come, because Alex, last week you joined the ranks of the Women Rock Project as the first African woman from Africa to be placed in its ranks. Yes. And today, Sherry Breyer, founder of Women Rock Project, announced that LeTonya Moore, African-American woman, has joined the ranks of Women Rock Project.
Yes, I'm super excited. It's
wow.
And if you want to see what that looks like, you can go to womenrockproject.com, and they are really amongst the who's who of women in the world. So it's very exciting to be a part of that project, and I'm also happy to be a part of that project. Three of us on the Women Rock Project. Yay!
Yes.
So thank you for that, Sherry Breyer, for bringing attention to women of the world, and I know that we all appreciate that. So it just allows our voice to amplify even more. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it's such a great thing. Actually, let me just say congratulations to Frankie. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but congratulations to you and to LeTonya. Now I don't feel so alone. Yes, I am first African, woman to be, but it's great to know that all my other sisters, women who are powerful, who have a strong voice, who have good intentions, and really want to effect change, are doing so, and they are on a platform that totally embraces that. Because again, as you did mention, Frankie, and not to just take this away, being an actress here in Nigeria, sometimes you're out there for the wrong reasons, really. You're celebrated for how you look and material, the material gains and the material things that you accomplish, as opposed to just some of the amazing goodwill and the good things that we want to do, for building the world is good. So just to be able to be out there on a platform that is celebrating us for the wisdom that we share and how we motivate and empower people to be their own heroes, I think that's a big achievement. And I celebrate that, and I celebrate with all of you, with both of you, and everyone else who's listening right now.
Well said. Thank you so much. What I love about all of us, really, LeTonya, your platform has changed, and my platform has changed, and so is Alex's, I believe. And also you use the word champion. I've always said that as a coach, I champion my clients because they need somebody to champion them and I hold that, I hold their dream for them until they're able to do it themselves. And I think that's something that all of us are doing for the people in this world right now is helping move that dream, finding the dream, explaining the dream, even really defining that purpose and goal, and then allowing them to blossom into that and helping them do that. And that's very important. That's a very important thing, because not everybody has a champion. That does that. Professional athletes have champions. They have coaches who help them champion them into greatness. But the average man doesn't. And so just to have somebody that believes in you, has faith in you, will help you. Many times we don't have that. A lot of times our friends won't play that role because they're afraid of your greatness, or they're afraid they'll lose you as a friend, or they're afraid, because they're not ready to move forward in life. And so it's great to have somebody there who you can turn to.
Absolutely. And for me, that's why communities like She Matters is so important. Communities like the Naked Expression, communities like Mission Unstoppable, it's very important, because the great thing about this connection, and not just the three of us, but just the broader group that has come together, is it's cross-racial, it's cross-generational, it's cross-cultural. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to meet the needs of so many people that, and I know you guys are when you see my messages, you probably say, oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing her say that. But no, when I say that I am humbled, when I say that I am honored, I cannot find a strong enough word to show my appreciation of everyone coming together and just embracing me. And we're all professionals. We all know, like, okay, we need to check these people out, because you want to make sure that people are who they say they are. Mm-hmm. But I am just so in awe, honestly, of how things have literally just aligned. And so we're all just moving forward together in a common direction, and I think that the unity that has come together, and all of the projects that are coming out of these few little relationships definitely are going to be things that are going to put such a mark on the world. I don't think we're even able to conceive how far this reach is going to go.
I agree with you. That is LeTonya Moore, LeTonyaMoore.com. Alex, we've got like a minute maybe. Why don't you tell folks quickly about the book that LeTonya and you and I and 18 other people are writing. What's it called? Real quick. I know you want to.
Well, this book is a self-help memoir, and it is probably going to be one of the most powerful books to come out of 2016, involving 21 amazing women from different parts of the world. And this book is I Bared My Chest. 21 women share their truth to being unstoppable, and I can't wait for it to be out. So, yay! I can't wait.
Me too. Yay! Congratulations, everybody, on the hard work that you're going to put into that book, and how much it's going to change people's lives. And that's exactly what LeTonya was talking about. These relationships that we build, they create and they grow like ivy and expand. Well, that's the end of our show today. LeTonya Moore, thank you so much for being my guest. Alex, thank you for calling in from Nigeria. Ben, thanks for producing the show. And all of you especially, thank you for listening in. It's been a real pleasure and honor to have you. And we will be back again next week with another unstoppable guest.
Don't stop.
When the chips were down, they didn't stop. Stories of people who, when the odds were against them, turned defeat into victory. You've been listening to Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso. See you next time, and always remember,
Don't stop.